6 p.m. and always our pleasure to welcome San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker, to the show here on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. J.D., first of all, hope you're doing well. I know I've seen you out at Viejas Arena for the last couple of men's basketball games, but we haven't had you on the radio for a while, so it's great to catch up here this afternoon. So thanks for doing it.
Yeah, it has been a minute. Excited to be back on with you guys, the official station for San Diego State Athletics and our newest team in the region getting started, SDFC.
Yeah, so we want to talk about SDFC, obviously, and with Snapdragon Stadium, and we'll get to that. But I wanted to start with football because the schedule's been released for 2025. It's another really good home schedule, right? Because Cal, non-conference, Boise State is coming here, San Jose State, right, within the region. Colorado State is on the home schedule. So I guess let's just start there with 2025 around the corner. For Sean Lewis and his football program, what do you make of the schedule coming up here at Snapdragon Stadium this year?
Yeah, no, we're excited with the schedule this year. Again, like you said, Cal, Boise State, two really premier games, and then the rest of the schedule is really good. So we're excited to get going with football next year. I think we feel like we had a really good year in the transfer portal and the kids that we've got coming in, and we kept the core of kids that we wanted from this past year's team to come back, and we're able to do that as well. So we're excited about what next season is going to be. And, the second year under Sean Lewis, I think it's going to look a lot different than the first year.
Yeah, second year under him. What are you expecting to see from Sean Lewis and his team in year two here?
Yeah, coming in last year, it was, you get here at we hired him, right in the first week of December. You've got to build a staff and get everything put together while you're managing, the kids that had been recruited by the previous staff. You're managing the transfer portal, getting to know your team. So this year, you don't have to worry about any of that. You know who your team is. You know what your needs are. You're able to plan a little better. The high school recruiting that you're doing, you know who those kids are, and then you're able to go into the transfer portal and really plug in what it is that you think that you need. And I think we've addressed, offensive line. That was a key piece. You never really got to see the Sean Lewis offense just because, you start the year with the injury to probably arguably your best offensive lineman, and we were a little thin at that position anyway. So we're excited about that. I think, we were disappointed to lose Danny, but at the same time, we knew we were going to go out and find some quarterbacks in the portal. So I think we're excited about that. So I look for us to make progress. Everything is just in place, and we'll see progress on both sides of the ball, and looking for a very competitive football team next year.
J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, with us on John and Jim. Yeah, it was impressive, I thought, the amount of talent that Sean Lewis was able to retain, which I think is a decent segue to just the role, because this way better than we do. But, I mean, the role that NIL and collectives are playing right now in college athletics and how important they are, right? And there's so much that goes into it. But whether it's Aztec Link with football and the Mesa Foundation with men's and women's basketball, I would imagine that Aztec Link and the supporters and community played a pretty significant role in allowing Sean and his staff to retain a lot of these players for 2025.
Yeah, we had a budget number for the spring, and we've got a budget number for this fall, and we're counting on revenue sharing being a big part of that going forward, with hopefully the final settlement of the House case in April. So we've planned for it, and we've worked hard with our student athletes and those student athletes who've come in through the portal. That we have a great culture. It's not just about the money; it's about the culture. It's about the development. It's the style of football that we play, whether on the offensive side or the defensive side, and finding those kids that are going to be right for us. So we're excited about the kids that we were able to keep. And, NIL and revenue sharing will play a big part of that. So, encourage people to check out Aztec Link and become a part of what they're doing. And then once revenue sharing kicks in July of this year, that's something, we'll be looking to our fan base and others to help us with that, as we're using revenue that we're generating, but then also we need the fan base to step up and, if we're going to be competitive in this, we've got to continue to invest resources.
Do you have a feel, because it must be early, like you said, I mean, we haven't even had this settlement of this litigation, and we haven't yet gotten into this revenue share era, which is about to begin, supposedly, but do you have a feel for where San Diego State will like kind of fit in the ecosystem, maybe with other Pac-12 schools moving forward, or current Mountain West schools, or what's going on as well, like in the P4 level? Like, how do you feel you'll be in that whole ecosystem?
Yeah, we're going to look at, the Pac-12 is who we're competing with, and
Right.
that's, to start with, and we need to, find success there. And if you're finding success in the Pac-12, you're probably, if you're the conference champion, you're probably making the playoffs. So as we get into this new era of revenue sharing, and you're going to have a little better idea of what people are actually doing, then our goal is to be competitive with them. Boise, my understanding, again, you can't believe any of the numbers you read out there. For the most part, they spent about $2 million this year on the team that, made the playoff and, played well against Penn State in the playoffs. So we know we need to be at about that, this year with this team, and then we'll keep building on that from a revenue sharing standpoint, and get that number as big as we possibly can.
What's the timeline right now for a Pac-12 media rights deal going on right now?
So we had athletic director meetings in San Ramon approximately 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer, and got an update from our TV consultants. There is a lot of interest for the Pac-12 content. We expect to sometime, hopefully end of March, to know what that deal is going to look like, and still have a contract and those pieces to wrap up. But once we know what that monetary figure is, that's going to allow us to go out and get that last, or that next team. We need one more team one more institution that plays football to bring all of their sports to the Pac-12 so that we meet NCAA requirements as an FBS conference. And then we'll figure out what, who else may be coming in after that. So that's an important thing in March. But the good news is, from the information that we saw, great companies that have an interest. It seems like at this point, you don't ever know until you sign on the bottom line. But we'll get better exposure, not only for our football and basketball programs, but our Olympic sports are going to have the opportunity to have much better exposure too.
Which is great to hear. JD Wicker is with us right now, San Diego State's athletic director. So you've touched on this before publicly, I think, with us. You said, again, it'll be decided by the league. And like you said, you got to get to 8 football playing members, but a more preferred number might actually be 9 or more, right? Because if you're at 8, you might only be at 7 conference games, which is then 5 non-conference games. So is it still maybe the preference of whether it's yourself or even the league that you get beyond 8 for 2026 or not?
Ultimately, my personal opinion is the goal should be 9 that play football, and then that gives you 10 that play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good number. Again, like you said, 8 conference games in football. It gives you 18 conference games in basketball. You're playing a true round robin. If you can find one more school, you can play 9 conference games in football, and then that gives you a 20-game schedule. And, this being a stronger conference, we don't mind playing 20 conference games. This year in the Mountain West is down. Playing 20 conference games has been a bit of a problem for us. So, I think 9 playing football or 10 playing football, and then 10 or 11 on, playing basketball as well would be good numbers for us.
Speaking of basketball, how pleased are you with how this basketball season has gone so far with such a young team for Dutch?
Yeah, it's been interesting both, on the men's and women's sides. We had this, kind of dip after we started the conference season in, January into February, but both teams seem to have turned a corner, been very pleased with how we played against Boise State, and then, came out against Fresno and took care of business early. Saturday is going to be huge at Utah State. We obviously saw in the first half of the game here in December that we can, run our offense to be successful against them. And, we built a nice lead, and then, had an opportunity at the end of the game in the second half, and, had a call that didn't go our way. It's a 50-50 call. And if that call goes our way, we're probably done with the game. At that point, it didn't, and we didn't react real well. So, I saw Dutch and the coaches and the players this morning before they took off. And, one of the comments was, it's not so much the basketball that's going to be what we need to be prepared for tomorrow. It's their crowd. And their basketball team feeds off of their crowd. They love it. And Logan is hard a place to play in this league. And so when they're really rolling, we've got to maintain composure.
No doubt about it. And just speaking of the basketball team, I had Dutch on last night for the Brian Dutcher show, and he talked about, Reese Waters redshirting this year, but expected to return next season. You always have one eye towards the future, right? In college athletics. I mean, what is that going to mean to kind of start next season, knowing that such an impactful piece will be back for Dutch next year?
Yeah, it definitely helps. I mean, guys want to go places where they can win. They want to win championships. They want to play in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, things that we've shown we can do. And when you have such a key piece that's already committed to be back, as you think about the pieces that you want to keep, a Pharaoh Compton, a Lagoon Guaf, a Taj DeGorville, Nick Boyd, all of those pieces, if they're like, okay, we've got an anchor in Reese, then, that helps us. So happy that he's healing and, going to have a chance to practice here at the end of the season and kind of get things rolling for next year. And we'll, hopefully we'll be able to, he'll get to still experience the NCAA tournament and a long run in the tournament while helping the team on the scout team.
You mentioned when we first brought you on, JD, we are the home of San Diego State athletics, and we're also now the home of SDFC, as well as you guys with Snapdragon Stadium having SDFC there, their first match on March 1st. How excited are you for this? And what do you expect to see coming up in the first match at Snapdragon Stadium in about a week?
Yeah, we're thrilled to, see this through. Again, this is the last, this will be the last element of what we promised the community when we built Snapdragon Stadium, when we got the property to then build Snapdragon. Kicking this game off on March 1st will be meaningful for a lot of folks, obviously, and excited for our community. Again, this is another great asset for our community, a team to root for, a team that ultimately I think is going to be successful. As you look at the ownership group between the Mansour family and then Saquon and the great facility they've built out at Singing Hills, and what Right to Dream, which is a big part of their program, and the educational and training aspect that comes with that, it's going to be awesome. So I'm really excited for them, and I'm excited for our community to have another reason to come to Snapdragon Stadium and celebrate San Diego.
JD, but before you go, I wanted to ask you about some of the success you're enjoying in Olympic sports. I know you got a senior golfer, Justin Hastings, who's been winning at a really high level. I know men's golf in general has been having a lot of success, and you're reinvesting as well in the golf programs, right? Didn't you recently announce some type of development initiative supporting the future of the golf programs as well?
Yeah, it has been. I appreciate you asking. It has been a great spring thus far, and Justin won the Latin American Amateur Championship a couple weeks ago in Argentina. He's from Grand Cayman, and so he gets to play in the U.S. Open, the Open Championship, and the Masters, and he's currently competing in PGA tournament in Mexico this week. I think he's in 38th. He'll make the cut for the weekend, so that's awesome. And we are building a practice facility at the Farms Golf Club for our men's and women's golf program, so excited about that. Men's golf's off to a great start. Softball went 5-0 at one of the elite pre-conference tournaments last weekend. They beat Alabama. We just tend to beat Alabama, but they also beat Wichita State. They beat Virginia. They beat Missouri, and they beat Charlotte. They walked Charlotte off with a grand slam in the bottom of the seventh for their last game, so they're ranked 23rd. That's a really fun team to come out and watch. Our swim team is currently at Mountain West Conference Championships. Their goal is to win their fourth straight conference championship, and I think that would be 4 and then 6 out of 7. So they're doing well. Lacrosse is off to an undefeated start. They have Arizona State on campus tomorrow. We've got tennis going on campus tomorrow. Tony Gwynn Legacy, baseball tournament. Baseball's at 6:00 tonight against Utah, and then 6 tomorrow against Santa Barbara, and then 5:00 on Sunday, I think, against Pepperdine. So spring sports are off and running as we wrap up our basketball side. Women's basketball is playing really well right now, and looks like they're going to head towards getting a bye in the first round of the conference tournament, which is always a big thing that we know of. So great things happening at San Diego State.
There's a lot. There really is. And we're excited for the conference tournaments coming up for men's and women's basketball. We're excited for tomorrow, San Diego State, Utah State in Logan. And again, for our listeners, if you haven't seen the 2025 football schedule, it's at goaztecs.com. Season tickets are available right now at goaztecs.com. I'm going to see you tomorrow, JD, for a season ticket holder event out at Snapdragon Stadium. So looking forward to that. And I'm excited. Can't wait. Football season will be here before we know it. But we appreciate you hopping on. We're excited for everything going on in the Mesa, and we appreciate you taking time for us.
Appreciate. No, are you going to be in Vegas? Or both of you going to be in Vegas?
I will be in Vegas. I don't think they
must be nice.
Jim, do you want to go?
Am I allowed to?
Is Jim allowed to leave the studio?
Yeah, he can come. We can go to the Taco Bell Cantina. My wife asked me today. She's like, "Should I be worried that in our search history of Yahoo Maps there's the Taco Bell Cantina?" And I was like, "Well, I'll see how close it was to the hotel."
Hey, you can renew your vows there, JD, for $777.
You must have heard that, right?
Well, I want to stay married. I want to renew my vows, not get divorced. They may do that there too.
Yeah.
So John, we can go to the Taco Bell Cantina and send pictures back to Jim.
We'll send pictures. JD, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow at Snapdragon.
All right. Appreciate it very much. Go Aztecs.
JD Wicker, athletic director for San Diego State. There is a lot going on. We can react to that on the other side. And by the way, Kevin Acey will join us coming up in 12 minutes. Stay with us on John and Jim.
What a show.